Hi there, my name's Beth, and today I'm going to be doing my February wrap-up and March TBR. I ended up reading a total of 5 books in February, which is the right amount I need to hit my 60-book goal for the year. I'm still 3 books behind because I only read 2 books in January, but I am making some progress in the right direction, so I will show you the 5 books I've read and then talk about a couple books I have already picked out for March. Other than that, yeah. So the first book I actually read most of it in the end of January, but I had about 60 pages left to read, and that is Fairest by Marissa Meyer. This is the kind of prequel novel to the Lunar Chronicles. This focuses on Queen Levana and her story, and it's a pretty short book. It's only about 220 pages. We do get the first 3 chapters of Winter in this book. I haven't read it yet, like the first 3 chapters of Winter, just because I don't want to read it and then get so interested in that story that I want to read it and then have to wait till November for Winter. So, yes, but I gave Fairest 4 out of 5 stars just because it was really short. I did really enjoy it, and I really liked seeing Queen Levana's point of view. It made me feel bad for her, but at the same time, I totally understand, like, she's the villain in this story. So, it's a good insight into Queen Levana. But I gave it 4 out of 5 stars just because I did want a little bit more, but at the same time, we are still getting a whole other novel in this world this year. So, yeah. But still, highly recommend this one. And if you have read Cinder, Scarlet, and Crest, definitely pick this one up because it does give a bit of like an explanation to some of the stuff that happens in those 3 books. So, yeah. The next book I read was Alienated by Melissa Landers. This book was probably the first sci-fi book, or like alien-based book I've read, and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It was just, like, the perfect story for what I needed right now. It was a really easy book to read. It's pretty fast-paced, and there is a really good storyline to it. It takes place following Kara Sweeney, who is a girl who's, I believe, a senior in high school, who's valedictorian, or basically going to be valedictorian, and she's basically guaranteed to get into college and everything, but she wants like an extracurricular. So the principal at the school says that she's been chosen to be the student representative for the intergalactic exchange program, and from that is where she meets Alex, who is the alien who comes from the, I'm going to say it wrong, but I believe it's the planet Lear, or Lahir. But yeah, so it's basically just like her showing him around the Earth, or, well, her town at least, and there's lots of conflict and trouble, but it was such a good book, and I'm so excited to read the second book. This is a really cute story, so I do recommend this one as well. The next book is one that a lot of people have been hyping up on BookTube and anticipating and everything. So I did pick it up, and that is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This is a young adult fantasy book that focuses in a world where the Reds and the Silverbloods are so the Silverbloods are basically the elite, and they have these special abilities, where the Redbloods are basically slaves to the Silverbloods, and they don't have abilities. So this book follows 17-year-old Mare, who is a red blood, and you see the first couple of chapters, like, her life as a red blood. And then she starts working in the palace with the Silvers, and in the middle of a big event that is televised to the entire, realm, I guess, something happens, and she finds out that she has an ability like a silver blood, even though she's a red blood. So the royals do everything in their power to cover up the fact that she actually is a red blood. But yes, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I did really enjoy it. It took me probably about 250 pages to actually get into the story, though. There were lots of twists and turns, but a lot of it was kind of like, well, I saw that coming. So, I do recommend it. It is a really good story. It's probably one of the first fantasies I've read. But it just took me a while to get into it, and the first probably 2/3 of the book I found kind of slow. But I am excited to see where it goes in the second and third book, because this will be a trilogy. The next book I picked up was actually right after The Red Queen, and this is another young adult fantasy book. This is The Sin Eater's Daughter by Melinda Salisbury. This is not very similar. The first little bit of Red Queen and the first little bit of this book I did find kind of similar. They both take place in a world where, like, there's the palace and the kings and the queens, the royals, but this book follows 17-year-old Twyla, who is betrothed to the prince, but she's not part of the court. She is the executioner. So her touch can kill people, and that just alone sounded so good. I loved this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I think this was my favorite book of the month. And yes, so if you liked Red Queen and you haven't read this book, I highly recommend you do. I was hooked into this story like 5 pages in, and after reading Red Queen, that was so amazing because I was like, oh, this is going to be the same thing. But it's such a completely different story, and it's so good. Highly recommend this one. And then the final book I read this month is not a novel, but it's more like kind of a self-help book, but also a memoir, and that is Grace's Guide by Grace Helbig here on YouTube. And this book was just so delightful. It's so funny. There's lots of her humor in it. There's so many good stories just throughout the book, but there is also a lot of like really good advice put in there. So there's stuff about like jobs, school, relationships, making friends when you're in your 20s. So much good. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars just because it is exactly what I needed when I read it. And yeah, I really enjoyed this a lot more than I should have, and I flew through it. It's only 235 pages. A lot of them are like pictures and stuff, and it's just such a good, easy read. So I recommend this one as well. So that is all I read in February. For March, my plans for reading. So I kind of started this book in February, and that is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Infernal Devices trilogy, and this is the first book that I've read of Cassandra Clare's. I'm about 80 pages into it, and I'm really enjoying it so far, so I'm really hoping to finish this one up in March and maybe get into the second book or start City of Bones in the end of March, maybe April. So we'll see how I get along with this book. Next, for the Booksplosion book of the month this month is We Should Hang Out Sometime by Josh Sundquist. I have read Just Don't Fall by Josh Sundquist, and I absolutely loved it. And Josh Sundquist is one of my favorite YouTubers to watch. He's so motivational, but also hilarious, and he's such a delight to watch. So I cannot wait to read this, and I might actually listen to the audiobook on Audible because Josh actually narrates that book. So I think it would be amazing to listen to him reading this book. And the final book I have planned for the month is going to be a reread because, well, it might be 2. I've only planned to read 1 so far, but I might read the other book that comes before it. And because the second movie to the Divergent series, Insurgent, is coming out in about 3 weeks, March 21st, I'm planning on rereading Insurgent. I might reread Divergent as well, just to make the story cohesive. But yes, at least this one, I might just read the whole trilogy again this month. and pick up 4. I haven't completely decided. We'll see how this month goes for me for reading. But yes, definitely I'm going to be reading Insurgent just so I'm like, it's fresh in my mind when I go see the movie. Yeah, so that's all I have for you for today. In the comments below, let me know what you read in February or what you plan on reading for March. And until next time, have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you all again soon. Bye!